Hello, hello. Welcome. I'm Suffer Jerome, and I am doing another walk and talk. This time I got a selfie stick. Oh, there's squirrels everywhere. They're coming out for their nuts. I'll show you. So I'm going to do another little walk and talk. I'm over at the campus of Humber College, and all these little buildings. Before Humber College bought it, these little buildings were actually part of the Street Legal. Remember the show Street Legal? Only if you're old. The show Street Legal, the production houses and stuff were here. And a lot of movies are filmed here. Movies and TV shows. And in fact, I will take you over by where Police Academy was filmed, and you can still see where they damaged the building. How many years later? Is that 30 years or whatever? Anyways, so it's another gorgeous day in Toronto today. And then in a couple of hours, we're going to be hit by a huge rainstorm, which will cause flooding and all sorts of horrible things. Oh yeah, so I want to get back to the history of these places. And so it's, like I said, a production house, film production house. They film stuff here. These guys probably think I'm photographing them, but I'm trying not to. And so before this became production houses, we're at Humber now. Now it's a college campus. And then before that, it was the Street Legal production houses. And over the years, many movies and TV shows filmed here. But before that, these were actually insane asylum houses. Okay, I've rounded the corner a little bit. Someone's coming with their dog, so I'll wait till they pass. So this historically, all these little houses, but they've all been massively renovated now for students and stuff. But this was, what they used to call an insane asylum. Now it's, we use different terminologies for such places, and we don't really have them anymore either. So with this was kind of like, almost like a co-op or something where, it was horrible, as all insane asylums were in the day. And okay, we're getting closer, so now I just didn't want people to think I'm photographing them, So, the clients would all live in these little houses, the nurses and stuff. And then there's a lot of underground tunnels. And so the idea was, this was sort of like the idea of working therapy. So they would have the clients, do the gardening, do the laundry, do all sorts of chores. They help build these places. So you can still see like some of the lower windows. Now they're all blocked up because we use it for school now, right? It's a school. And but yeah, so once or twice a year they open up the tunnels to give tours, and I've been on the tunnel tour twice now. And so the tunnels go all the way under, they connect all the buildings. I know when I went to York University they had tunnels too, but it was always a university. It didn't have all the other history. And so the tunnel, it's always like a ghost tour kind of thing. All these buildings are haunted, obviously. So all the grief and sadness and deaths, of course, lots of deaths in those old hospitals and asylums, right? And so it's interesting bit of history. Yeah, so we're coming up. So this place, this building was used in the movie Police Academy. And so I'm not sure if they shot inside, but definitely the front was like the Police Academy place, right? So you can still see on the bricks, although maybe they fixed it by now, but last time I did a tour of the place, you can see in the bricks where they got damaged during filming, but I can't see it now. where they were showing us. Oh yeah, right there. See, they somehow damaged that one little bit during filming. And yeah, it's been there ever since. When did Police Academy come out? In the 80s? A G for Jerome. No. So you see the other gargoyle's fine, right? I don't know if I can, yeah, I can go back and forth with this. So yeah, so I guess if I stand over here kind of far, you'll get the sense of the whole front of the building. Like I'm on a road, right? Classes are on, so I got to make sure I don't get destroyed. But yeah, so the broken parts over here, and yeah, so that's the front, and lots of places. Like I said, they use this campus for all kinds of things. And on another day, you know, we'll go down and look at the jogging area, which has a lot of indigenous art and stuff down there. And yeah, so then over there, they're fencing off a lot of it. Look, there's still a giant snow pile, even though it's like 100 degrees today. We had that huge, you know, we had the big blizzards too. Look at this snow pile, like it's as big, it's taller than me still. The blizzard, I think the last snowfall was, what, a month? 3 weeks? But yeah, I'll flip the camera so you can get perspective. So yeah, that's how, I know it's hard to get perspective. Like that thing's way taller than me, but you know how these cell phones are. You can never really get the depth perception like a real camera does. It's interesting how that works. But yeah, this is, looks like a monster. I don't know, they all look like monsters. I'm in imaginative mood today. Yeah, so I just thought you might find it interesting to see, you know, a little bit of the history of Humber College, and it goes on for more buildings. I'll give you more tours another day because, you know, I want to do a lot more walk and talks, so we need lots of information to share. And so you think about, you know, if you're having writer's block or something, you know, go for a walk and think about the history of things. So maybe, you know, you look at these buildings and say, oh, it's just a boring old school campus. But no, it was movie sets. Famous people have wandered these places. Even I have done some TV work here on the campus as a background performer for a couple of shows. And you could see the lake glimmering way down there. I'm not going to go down there today, but see that shine, that's the lake. And then you think back, and so further back in history, you know, it was an insane asylum or a hospital for the mentally ill, or however you want to call it. And, you know, good things and horrible abuses, of course, as always with these places. But they also, like, we're trying to have the working programs. You could think about, you know, maybe you were one of the people that worked there, or maybe one of the people who's trying to survive there or trying to get well there. Maybe you went in for an addiction and then you can't get out, or, you know, so when you're having writer's block, just start asking yourself questions like, what is this place? And what does it mean? And, you know, who was here and what might their stories be? So, yeah, let's look at the little ravine here. You know what's living down there? Oh, we know there's lots of squirrels and coyotes, for sure. And you start thinking about those sorts of things, you know? So, yeah, writer's block, take a walk, take a walk, take a walk. And try to think about history and what happened before you, what might happen after you. And then you can create characters, ideas, places. You know, you might be stuck on, you need a new character, but you might be stuck on, where do I set this thing? You know, there's a little squirrel. Are you writing about squirrels? I was talking to someone today who had to get rabies shots because they got bitten by a squirrel. Who knew that ever happened, right? Do squirrels have rabies? He said no one's ever actually gotten rabies from a squirrel bite, but they want it. Here comes another little guy. And you're not supposed to feed the animals here. I love squirrels. I would love to come here and feed them and bring them all my extra vegetables and stuff rotten in the fridge. But the fines are from $500 to $100,000. Where'd he go? To feed wildlife. Like a lot of cities, we have a lot of coyotes wandering around. And actually, our neighborhood coyote was on the news the other day. Her name is Bunny, and she's recognizable because she doesn't have a tail. And so they had her on the news, and she goes pretty far. But now she seems to go about 10 or 15 miles on a regular basis, so I don't really know where she lives. Anyways, so they were talking about, they're watching people. Yeah, she's they had a special word for it, but a wild animal who is now trained to come up to humans because humans have been feeding her. So now she's not foraging for her own food, and she'll wait at stoplights for a handout, like the squeegee kids. she'll go up to people, and it can be scary for a coyote. She's big, bigger than a German Shepherd, and I've seen her myself. And but yeah, now she's totally trained to beg for food from humans. And so they're saying on the news about the fines, and it can be up to $100,000 if you're caught feeding these animals. And I didn't know there was a squirrel bylaw till about 5 years ago. I was walking through here and I put down some vegetables. I think I had a couple apples or something that were going yucky in the fridge. And then and it was weird because it was one of those simpatico things. And then something on the news about don't feed the animals, and there was something on Facebook, because our robot overlords watch everything we do. And then I Googled it, and then I saw in that situation, someone had actually gotten fined for feeding the birds in their own yard, and they got like $1,000 fine or something. So yeah, don't feed the wildlife. You're not doing them favors. I've said that forever about birds, because where I lived, not here, Canada geese were everywhere. They were everywhere, cobra chickens. And they weren't flying south anymore. They're just getting fat and just hanging out. And yes, our winters are really mild some years. I don't know, if you don't believe in global warming, come to Canada and notice how hot it is. It's not supposed to be hot. That's why we live here. We don't want to live in friggin', super hot places. That's why we live in Canada. But yeah, so then I read about this person who got fined for feeding wildlife in their own yard. And and the Canadian geese, they don't fly. So then they were trying to go through a thing where, and the problem with Canadian geese is they shit a lot. Like, they're everywhere, just crapping all over the place. And, you're trying to walk your dog's eating it, and it's just gross. And, and then they're terrifying, they're super territorial, even if they're not sitting on an egg. So they'll come after you with their beaks blinking and stuff. That they'll go on the highway. They'll walk across the highway, and it's against the law to kill one. So you have to let them cross, goose crossing, right? I tell you, there's been many times where rush hour traffic is held up because a family of geese needs to walk across the highway, or the busiest roads and so on. So you don't do anyone favors feeding the wildlife, and you don't do your bank account a favor if you're caught. So here in Canada anyway, or Ontario. That's what I know about Ontario. Not sure how the rest of the world operates, but it's something to think about. And then, like I said, with the Canadian geese, they're not, they're not flying south like they used to. And so then when we have cold winters like this year, I'm sure a lot of them just died because it was like, we had like the coldest winter, longest, coldest winter we've had in years. Like, it was just cold, like minus 15, minus 20 for months on end. So today's really nice and warm, even though I have my parka on. I'm sweating to death because I don't believe how warm it is. And yeah, and then when I went to Florida last year for the very first time I've ever been, oh, my phone's ringing, but I'm not going to answer it because it says spam. So I don't know if you hear that or how the magic of the phone cameras work. But when we went to Florida last year, it was my very first time going to Florida, and we'd already bought our tickets before the new way of the States is going, right? And there was a lot of Canadian geese down there, and it was funny because, you know, there's alligator signs all over. Well, we were in Orlando, you know, we went to Universal. That was our big trip. And but yeah, there were Canadian geese down there, but probably not as many as there should have been. This year I hope a lot of them flew, or maybe not. I'm not really I actually hate birds, but I am empathetic to wildlife. I love animals, and so I hope that, you know, the birds survived. I know we hear a lot of, oh, I got it. This tree's really cool. If we were at Nikon, would call it the V tree. If you know, you know. It's a cool tree. I don't know what, if anything, lives in there. I don't know if it's haunted. I think it's dead. Might have been hit by lightning too. But yeah, I'm not sure this tree's oh yeah, maybe some of those branches are getting a little green. Oh yeah, there's some green coming out at the bottom. Oh, these squirrels are going insane. Whee! Yeah, it's a squirrel stream. This is what we're doing. I love squirrels. I would have one at a pet if they weren't psychotic. But yeah, there's one there. There's another guy up there. Scrat! Scrat! It's a scrat attack. They're all coming out, trying to remember where their nuts are. Anyways, talk. I guess it was a bit of a what to do when you have writer's block. Go for a walk and think about the historical things. And I'm almost at a maze. You can walk Mandala maze. It's just over here. But we'll walk through the mandala another day. That'll give us something else to discuss. So I hope you enjoyed today's walk and talk. You know, I'm not doing it every day, obviously, and I don't know how often I'm going to do these, but I'm definitely going to do them more than once every 2 years. Anyways, yeah, so I got my new selfie stick. It can go pretty far. Look at that. Whee! Whee! Wow. Anyways, I haven't had a selfie stick in forever because I've had a couple and they broke and then they're banned everywhere, so I never thought to get another one. But now I guess they're kind of back because my arm's not long enough to show you. You don't want to see a super huge close-up of my face. I know that. I'm not young anymore. So anyways, have a great day. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And like I said, I got some new exciting things happening. And the end of April will be the big reveal. Okay? So take care. Have a great day. Enjoy the warm weather before the snow comes back.